Hi, my name is Michelle. I am with Conquer MG, and we're with Kathryn Wotman today, and she's going to share a little bit about her myasthenia gravis journey. Like many people, getting a diagnosis can be difficult, stressful, and sometimes scary. Kathryn, welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks for having me. Happy to talk about my MG journey, which is a little unique in that I myself am a veterinary ophthalmologist. So my symptoms started with my eyes, which was ironic and frustrating. Made it very difficult to do my job to help treat dogs, cat, horses with eye problems when I was having difficulty seeing myself. But as my symptoms were persistent, I became suspicious that I potentially had MG. I see this in our patients, in our veterinary patients. So seeing kind of the same symptoms in myself was, again, ironic, but kind of pointed me in a direction of where I thought I needed to go. And it was not necessarily how it was received by physicians that I was seeing or trying to get a diagnosis from.
You are a doctor, even though you're not a human doctor. I think that informed your sense of, and you had a hunch, and you had a hunch because
Right.
you have this specialty. So you were diagnosed, and I know from an earlier conversation that your diagnosis and your experience of getting to that was a little bumpy. And in part, it's because you don't have the antibodies. And I want to know if you would talk to us about how you kind of a little bit before your diagnosis, how you were feeling, what your symptoms were, how that presented to you. And then we'll talk about that diagnosis and how you got to know that you were in fact an MG patient.
My symptoms started primarily with my eyes. So I was having a lot of double vision, droopy eyelids when I was trying to work. So noticed it first at work, and then eventually over several months progressed to more full body signs. But it really started with my eyes, which didn't fit any one specific disease, I suppose. So I started, with a general neurologist to see if they, and an ophthalmologist to see if they had any indications as to what might be going on. And it was actually my ophthalmologist who saw me and sent me kind of on emergency straight to someone who had more experience with MG, as he suspected that I had MG based on my ocular signs.
Talk to us about the specific diagnosis that you have and the challenges that you face over someone who tests positive for the antibodies. There's quite a difference in the journey and in the treatment process, maybe.
The first neurologist that I saw of many did the kind of usual tests. Looking at me, was suspicious of MG being my diagnosis, but tested me for the antibodies that we can test for, and I was negative for all those available antibodies. So a seronegative patient, which feels like they then want to look for other potential causes of what's going on, which I think is fair. They don't, if you don't have a confirmatory diagnosis based on your antibodies, they want to rule out everything else. And then maybe after a period of time and hundreds of tests later, you might land on a seronegative MG diagnosis, which is very much where I found myself through many neurologists, many blood tests, MRIs, EMGs, that type of thing, which I think many of us go through when we are seronegative because we don't have that kind of immediate positive test to give us that confirmation. It takes us a lot longer to get where we need to go, which also includes a variety of medications that may make things worse, may make things better along the way as the physicians are trying to help, but are still questioning our diagnosis all along this pathway.
To be clear for people who are tuning in here, can you tell us what exactly is seronegative?
So they test your blood, so your serum, for the antibodies, and there are several known antibodies that lead to the diagnosis of MG, and more coming online as more research is being done. But if you are negative for all the antibodies in your serum or in your blood that they can test for, they call you seronegative.
And you had a clever rename of this. What can you tell us that is? I think it's just, something that we all and people with MG might find, funny.
Being zero unknown. So it's not that we are positive or negative, we just don't know what we are yet because the science hasn't quite caught up to our disease process. So zero unknown.
Right. And I know just from paying attention to the rare disease space, while MG is still very much in that space as a rare disease, there's growing attention and interest in research. So while we might consider it zero unknown, it really seems that one day there will be more knowns than unknowns, which I hope gives people in the MG community just some hope in knowing and finding out more about this disease, which will ultimately bring more treatment for those who have it.